What's up, y'all? You're checking out Living Corporate on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell in that corner so you keep up to date with all the dope content we're creating here, driving real talk in the corporate world.
I couldn't continue to show up in class every day and teach students and ask them, to do assignments and do homework and to engage in critical thought, in the way that we do in my classes. And that faith is connected to a hope that these generations coming behind us are stronger, angrier, more willing to tear things down than we have been. And I'm a millennial, I'm 40. And admittedly, and I say this to folks all the time, we're not the fighting generation. Like that was not what we did. We were told this is how you become a successful professional adult. You do that, you focus on that, right? And that is what we did. I mean, I even remember I started my freshman year of college was 9/11. Literally, 2 weeks into my freshman year of college, 9/11 happens. And there were no protests on my campus. There were no, there was no ensuing anger about the sort of political and military response of the United States, and I do remember seeing people protesting in the streets in New York and Chicago and stuff, but that wasn't happening on college campuses, especially not college campuses of like a bunch of upper class wealthy mostly white folks, like at a school like Vassar, right? And so what the folks in my generation did was we just took it. And we took the trauma, we took the violence, we let it happen to us with the expectation that if we made it far enough, then we would be accepted, right? And that's what makes me not necessarily like side, quote unquote, with Dr. Gay, but to understand what has happened to her. And even in her op-ed, her unwillingness to talk about the experiences of the Black and brown folks on her campus, because she's still grappling with the fact that this happened to her, right? Because in her mind, she's like, I did everything that Harvard, that upper class America, that white America asked me to do to be able to belong in settings like this. And I still got treated like any other Black person. And how do I deal with that, right?
She needs to listen to that Jay-Z song.
Yeah.
Black Nick.
Yes. Still Black. Listen, still OJ needs to as well, right?
Yeah, so I'm not Black, I'm OJ. Okay.
Right. Well, we saw Tiger Woods recently talk about this stuff, right? Who was famously like, call me Kablasian or whatever it is. And at the time, we were just like, well, that's kind of weird, but I guess, we're just let him do what he wants to do, right?
He's really good at golf,
hindsight,
so it's weird.
Exactly. So we'll just let it go. But in hindsight, it's like, we should have called that stupid 30 years ago, right? And we just let it go because we were all being socialized in this sort of Cosby Show, Huxtable-esque. And as someone who, was an ardent watcher of the Cosby Show, I used to have I still have them, I just haven't opened them in years, but all the seasons on DVD, right? We, Black people in particular, especially middle class, upper class Black people, through the mid 80s, 90s, and early 2000s were socialized to believe that it's that respectability politics stuff, right? If you just got the right education, talked right, dressed right, raised your children right, then you could be upper middle class, you could own a brownstone in New York City, you could have your own doctoral practice, right? You could, be a partner at a law firm and white people would accept you and, you'd never have to experience any of the racism of the past. And I think what the Gen Z and Gen A generations are recognizing is all that was bullshit. Sorry, I don't know if we're allowed to swear
You
on
good?
this.
You good? I said nigga, so
But okay.
yeah, you go ahead. Yeah,
I try to be careful about
you're fine.
my language. But that's not reality, right? And that
Yeah,
they look at us and say, y'all were duped. You know, they told you to do that and you just did it, and now look at you. You're not any, you know, better off than any of the rest of us. And so my hope, right, is that as long as I continue to put that information out there, as long as I continue to teach, you know, what institutional racism is, what systemic racism is, that these coming generations with more access to information, with more access to history, right? Well, you know, Republicans are trying to prevent that, but
yeah.
it's
In
hard to
theory,
do, right? You know, with all of the ways that you can access information these days, that they will be the ones to say, this doesn't work. And if one generation can pull down a couple of bricks and the next generation can pull down a couple of bricks, then at least we're heading in the direction of destroying these practices, right? And if I don't have that hope and if I don't have that faith, then why am I going to class? You know, why am I teaching? Why am I in this profession? Why am I writing these books? So